Hello there, everybody. Thanks for all the engagement. Again, my purpose is to leave a legacy by positively impacting people. I want to focus this video on finding your why. So it's probably the biggest question that people ask me once I decided to put my phone number or email out there, or people will just DM me, and that's one of the first things they say is, "How do I find my passion?" And my first response is, "Well, what do you like to do?" Or people says if they say, "I want to get into business for myself," my question is, "Why?" And so because it's not about money. Your purpose should drive you towards something beyond something that's physical. It should be something that's really almost value based, that is going to be long lasting beyond your life. Not that there's anything wrong with the pursuit of wealth and material things, as long as it's not attached to any kind of emotion, especially happiness. Happiness should not be tied to what you achieve, or even acquire in life. We all know what happened to the pharaohs of Egypt the moment that they died, with all that wealth ransacked, robbed, all that stuff is gone. And so there's no value to that. And so as you think about for yourself, the first thing that I'd say, number one, is if you don't have the book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, or you haven't seen the YouTube, or you haven't been on Facebook and seen that video go around, it's also on Netflix. There's a 15-minute basically synopsis of that entire book on trying to, he calls it it's a circle. So in the middle of the circle is the why, the next circle around it's how, and the outer circle is the what. And he says what's not motivating for most people is the what. And you think about how, the great example that he uses is Apple, and how innovative I'd say they used to be quite honest. But really, what they got into watches. We were like, oh, Apple, you're not into apparel. Why are you into this game? We knew that they were an innovative company. They're trying to make our life easier and of more benefit. So for them to be able to come out with something, that's why people had no problems waiting in line to get to that, because they identified themselves with the why of what ultimately Apple was providing. And so as you think about for yourself, okay, from a career perspective, because we're going to spend a lot of time in our career, you want to try to find your purpose and what you like to do. And so oftentimes I'll tell people the first place to start is what you don't like doing. Right? Because there's a lot of careers, a lot of industries that totally get axed the moment that you say, hey, I don't like certain things, right? So oftentimes, people don't like engaging with people, like new people, intimately on a regular basis. Oh my gosh, that gets rid of being a server, that gets rid of, being in hospitality, that gets rid of being a nurse, it gets rid of being in the sales organizations. Because if you don't enjoy that, then all of a sudden now you start saying, okay, then what do you do? Well, I love analyzing things. I love programming. Well, perfect, because that becomes now your focus. So oftentimes start with what you don't like doing. Start with you're passionate about, something that actually almost makes you sick to your stomach. And that can start eliminating a lot of things. The other thing to think about when it comes to purpose and why is it's not attached to a specific industry. It's not, it shouldn't really be attached to even your job. And so what I mean by that is if you kind of can keep asking the question why, right? So for me, when I did this not experiment, but I went through this thought process, this meditation, and was okay. Why am I in sales? Number one is, for me, I like people. I love people. Love to talk to them. Love to hear their stories. Love to know what makes them tick. And so for me, when I was working in corporate retail, just analyzing data, I knew that different shirts sold, better than different sizes, and different colors sold better than different sizes. That drove me crazy because it was very analytical. I was basically an Excel monkey, a little data monkey. And I knew, man, I need to work with people. I love people. And so, man, sales is a perfect opportunity. I get to meet new people all the time. I love that. And then the opportunity to be able to go to networking meetings and meet more people, loved it. So I knew sales was exactly where I wanted to go. I was at a stage where I wanted to help people. And so I didn't want to do that in hospitality. Working in a hotel didn't excite me. Working as a server didn't excite me. Even healthcare, I had no desire to kind of go into that realm of, working in the clinics or the hospitals. But man, I really enjoyed the idea of selling something to somebody. Now, I was a little bit afraid of sales because I kind of had the personality where I want everybody to like me. But over time, well, before I got into sales, I read a ton of books. I read like 5 books on sales, like closing and cold calling, like you name it. And so I got into the game of sales. I knew that, okay, I got to have a backbone and so I trained myself over successive meetings and experiences to really just ask people to take action. And I didn't feel bad about that. And so I was able to find my peace with that. And so for me, as I got into sales, that was a career move, but I didn't really analyze like the why of it. I just knew that that's where I wanted to go. And I got myself into financial services because I was like, well, I like, it was a weakness of mine at the time. And I thought, what I'd love to be a strength of mine is I really want to understand the market. I love the economy. The first thing I read is the business section. Love it. People like to know celebrities, like who's married to who and all that fun stuff, names of kids. For me, I like knowing CEOs of companies. I do. I like to know that Jack Welch ran GE. I like to know, Jeff Immelt runs GE. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I like to know that stuff. It's goofy. But so for me, because I enjoyed reading that stuff, it was an easy passion. It was an easy jump into it. And so that's the next place I go. So once you start with number one, what you don't like, number two, then go to what you enjoy reading, what you enjoy learning. Because the moment that you start enjoying something, there's pretty good odds that you're going to become an expert at it and go like a mile deep and become an expert. And that's really where your passion and income can start colliding, is because you become an expert at that area. And you think about any of the professions out there, even just think about like athletes. Your best paid athletes are very, very specific at what they do, right? I'm a quarterback. That's it. I throw the ball, I hand it off, like that's it. You think about attorneys. I'm an estate planning attorney. Do you do litigation? No, I don't. Just estate planning. That's all I do. Doctors. I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon. All I do is the heart. Well, what about me? I got a common cold. Sorry, can't help you. Heart surgeon. And so I say the same thing even in my profession. You end up focusing on specific markets and become an expert in that area. And for me, business owners is really my area of expertise. However, when I first got into business, it was all about medical doctors. So I knew all about residency and kind of the process of them going through that. And so I was able to engage with them on a very sincere and genuine level because I understood from a macro perspective what they went through. Obviously, I didn't go through medical school, so I don't know the actual details of staying up late at night and I did from my business perspective, but not from a medical perspective. Anyway, I digress. So, what are you ultimately passionate about? At the same time, the moment that you start kind of focusing in on what you don't like and then ultimately what you do enjoy learning, and you can find, okay, this seems to be the career path, it might not necessarily lend itself to your why. And that's really where it came to a head for me with Simon Sinek's book. And so as I started reading and just literally just writing it down and then putting it down on paper, I kept asking myself why, like why, and it wasn't about oftentimes you get into a career, become self-employed because you have control over your independence, you have control over your income, you have control over your impact, the 3 I's, if you will, or even intellectual, right? So the 4 I's of the career: income, impact, independence, intellectual stimulation. But why? Why that? And so as I kept thinking more about it, I realized, okay, I really embrace change. But why do I like change? So I had built a practice down in Milwaukee, and there was an opportunity to lead the team 3 hours north. And I'm the one that proposed the move to my boss. He agreed. He knew it was a good move. I saw the business opportunity. I saw the leadership void that existed up here in northern and central Wisconsin. And so I moved. But I embrace change. I love it. The idea to be able to go to a new community. Again, it's about people, right? Meet new people. Hear their stories. Get to know them. I loved it. I love it. But why? And okay, so I like that about myself, is engaging with new things. But why? And it really came down to, what do I ultimately want? If money's not an object, right? So if I'm not trying to chase dollars, I'm not trying to chase stuff, because that's so unfulfilling, by the way. I wanted to leave a positive impact on people. And I realized as I looked at my life, just mentally, obviously, I don't have like, this, it's not like I was going through like, videos or like, scrapbooks. I was just thinking about my life, and I started seeing different plays that I had made, or different decisions that I had made, purely based on the move to be able to help other people. I remember when I was in, as a young man, I'd actually make awards, not awards, I would give every girl in my church something for Valentine's Day, because I didn't like the idea of them not getting something. That bothered me, that a couple of the cute girls would get something from somebody, but then anybody else that was average, from a physical perspective, wouldn't get anything, and that bothered me. And then when I was in college, actually we made a Woman of the Week. I found some piece of paper that had like a rose on the long side of it, and we'd give these out, and it became so popular that we started doing it daily. And so we would print this thing out and said, "Hey, you've been nominated Woman of the Day. Love me and my buddies." And or maybe we just called ourselves the Dog Pound, maybe. And I found out there were friends of mine that still have that. I'm 37, man. I left college a long time ago. They still have those letters because it meant something to them the day that they got it. And I didn't do that for anything outside of just wanted to do it, to give something. And so that's what I realized about me, is that I wanted people to get their fullest potential. I realized that I see the world in a very, very optimistic way, a lens of complete positivity. I am cockeyed optimist. I love it. I love the way that I see the world. And I want people to see it the way I see it. Because I think with the moment that you start seeing the beauty in things, the moment that you start appreciating the small details of life, you start realizing that not all this stuff matters. Now, now, I don't mean that like you're not going to have some crappy things that happen. They do. They happen to everybody. I've yet to meet somebody in my life, in conversation, that doesn't have a crappy life, that isn't dealing with struggles, isn't being pushed beyond their limits at times. And I was a single dad for over 5.5 years, so I get the push. I get the struggle. Okay. To being pulled and running the candles at both ends and not feeling like appreciated at all times. Children have a tendency to remind you of that. And so, as you think about for yourself, for you, because that's what matters. My story is my story. That's personal to me. But for you, what matters is that you keep asking yourself, why? Why do I want that? Why do I want that? Why do I want that? And you start finding out for yourself what's really motivating you, what's really compelling you to get there. And I know that the moment that you find your aha moment, you get beyond the chasing of, oh, I want a big building, or I want staff, I want employees. But why? Why do you want staff? I remember I was doing this with a person, and I kept asking him why. I was like, just let me get you through this. And he goes, you know why? You know why I want money? It's because we didn't have it growing up. We missed meals because we didn't have money. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen to my family. Now all of a sudden we have a why. It's not about money. Not at all. It's about being able to provide. Very significant difference. So, again, if I can be a sounding board to you, let me know. Have a great day, everybody.